Hey guys, how's it going? I want to talk about Priest a quick second. What do they do? Priests do damage, Priest buff, Priest heal, Priest debuff. They do shadow things, I guess. What does this mean? Priests are all over the place. That's kind of undeniable. Yeah, you can see that in tons of the priest cards that do weird effects like inflict damage to you and your opponent at the same time, all kinds of stuff. Priests are all over the place, but I don't think that's a new venture for them. Yes, some cards get rehashed, and I can kind of see the reasoning behind that. The rehashes will enable cards to be used in different ways. Sometimes you have a spell rehashed as a minion, or a minion rehashed as a spell. And I think that that's okay. This is kind of like this from the beginning. You've got Silence and you've got Mass Dispel. You've got Power Word Shield and Templar Enforcer. You've got Velen and Mind Blast. You've got Cabal and Shadow Madness. These are all cards that are all over the place when it comes to Priest. And I feel like this actually kind of ties back to the root of Priest in World of Warcraft, where you have 3 different specs: Healing, Discipline, and Shadow, and each of those specs can kind of do all the roles. And I kind of like that that translated over into the card game. So what is Priest supposed to be, though? Priest is kind of like a toolbox, and that's kind of the frustrating and fulfilling part of Priest. What's the problem with Priest, though, if Priest can just counter all of the meta? There's really vague direction when it comes to this class. Blizzard has expressed for other classes, such as Druid, that they would like to have a more beast-centric focus, and you can see that in the cards that are being released. You've never heard them say, oh, we want Priest to focus on Shadow Priest, we want Priest to focus on healing and just sustaining it out. We want Priest to focus on getting tempo through powerful minion buffs. There's really not direction when it comes to Priest, and I think that in lies the problem, that most people want that direction. Another thing, though, is with the implementation of Standard, Priests lost some of their options, such as Light Bomb, and this caused them to lose tools from their toolbox. If you take the wrench out, you can't put the screw in with a hammer as easily. You can, but it's going to be a little janky. So that's kind of what Priest feels like. You know, they remove a screwdriver and say, here's a hammer, figure out how to make it work. And you know, what about the new cards for Priest? And what does this mean for the future of Priest and the future of Hearthstone? Well, the new cards, let's just look at Purify, for example. A Silence rehash that I would never want to put in my deck, right? But somewhere in the future, maybe I will want to put it in my deck. I think the problem, though, is they released it by itself. If all 3 of the Priest cards that were released made sense with the new Silence card, people would probably be like, wow, this is the coolest new way to play Priest. I'm just going to run a bunch of silences. I'm going to silence all of my opponent's minions so they don't have a good time, and I'm going to silence my own minions too, because why the heck not? But they didn't do that, and so people are frustrated because they're saying, why did you give us the silence? We need something else. So again, I think you're running into the problem where the vision for Priest and the goal and the fun of the class as a whole doesn't quite match up to the release timeline and the development timeline. When it comes to card games, card game makers don't tend to care about one specific class, clan, archetype, or deck type. How can I make this work? And that's kind of the fun of card games. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Unfortunately, Priest might be a little in the losing bucket right now, but let's just stay tuned and see how things turn out. It's just a phase.